What did Ryan Day have to say about this? What did Ryan Day have to say about the coaching additions, coaching changes, the spring practice, and more? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State, the voice of college football. I'm your host, Garrison Gaddy. Now let's get to it. Ryan Day today was able to, or decided to hold a press conference today, kind of addressing some of the new additions on this team, the coaching changes on the staff, some of the players, and where that could be going this upcoming spring, and including what will be going on during spring practice and what's going on for the spring showcase, as we like to call it now. So I want to start with Matt Patricia. Ryan Day has some really good things to say about him. Said that he was someone willing to work with the guys in the room. Also brought up and Coach Walt, Tim Walton, actually brought this up when he was able to speak to the media later. He said, "Hey, he has worked with Matt Patricia before. They did over at Syracuse, the Orange, a long, long, long time ago, almost 20 years ago now. But they were able to work with each other there, and I think that I think Ryan Day brought that up because having Matt Patricia there was someone that he is familiar with, who just happens to be the new co-defensive coordinator to you being the defensive coordinator. I think that really helps out, especially in the fact that Matt Patricia mostly works in the front end of defenses. Tim Walton, of course, he has the back end, and both of them have been elite in that in their days. So I think that's a really good look. I think it's great that those two are working in the same room together. Also talked about how Matt Patricia's defense utilizes its players. Pretty soon here, I think probably for the Buckeye Brigade next Tuesday over 11 o'clock, 8 o'clock, make sure you show up for that. I plan on actually going through the defense with the guys and us talking about it. But, the reason you really like that is because with every defense is its own. The players switch out season to season. You got to figure out ways to put your guys in the best situation so that they are able to prosper. I think that Ryan Day, this is one of the reasons why Ryan Day hired him. He believes that Matt Patricia has the ability to go around, find out where guys have to be, find out where they can succeed, and put them in positions where they can. So I'm really excited to hear that. Of course, Matt Patricia using the multiple defense, going from 3-4 to 4-3, whether he's able to go from nickel to dime or dime to nickel. Those are a lot of different things that he is able to do in his defense. Overloading the line of scrimmage in different situations and going to the opposite way. A lot of things that Matt Patricia does, I think, are really going to help this defense, and it stays close to what we were doing at the tail end of the season, last half of the season, especially in the playoffs with Jim Knowles, when we were mostly at the 4-2-5, but we're still running multiple, not as much, but a little bit. We're putting guys in situations where they can succeed. We're putting guys like JTT and Jack Sawyer in positions where they can get to the quarterback. We're putting guys like Tyler Williams in good situations. We're putting guys like Simon, wasn't some all-star linebacker before the season, but throughout the season, we saw him getting put in positions where he can succeed, like getting to the quarterback. That's something we did not know he could do, but last year, he goes ahead and does that. So I'm really confident that Matt Patricia is going to be able to use the skills of the players that we have and make sure we're able to use it to their benefits for the team. And also talked about how Patricia has been going around building relationships. Right now, this is the time for the coaching staff. They're not around the players a lot, so this is the time for the coaching staff to go around, get familiar with the guys, get familiar with your subordinates, get familiar with your coworkers. This is a very important time for Matt Patricia, especially with some of the things that have been said about him over the past 10 so years, even things that I have said with Ryan on Buckeye Primetime, Ohio State Primetime. But I think that Matt Patricia is going to be fine in his job. I think he's going to do very well. I'm very confident in Ryan Day and his coaching decisions. Ryan Day brought up about how Nick Saban, throughout his career at Alabama, was switching coordinators, especially on the defensive side, a lot. And that the main job for Nick Saban was to keep some familiarity with what they've already done. I think that's what Ryan Day has done now. I'm really excited to see what we do with it, and I think Matt Patricia's going to do a good job. Of course, right now you're working out, making the players better, as Ryan Day said. And then after the spring, that's when you want to start, getting the game plan involved. But no, very excited for Matt Patricia here, and glad with everything Ryan Day had to say about him. Next, let's go to Tyler Bowen here real quick, the new offensive line coach. Of course, he has to coach offensive line basically 15 years. But one of the big reasons that he was hired, as we've talked about countlessly, is that he has a great recruiting prowess. He's able to get into these rooms with these parents and these young men and get them to like the program that he's trying to he's at, whether that be Penn State, whether that be Virginia Tech. That's what he does. Ryan Day said hiring him was big, and that he's a high level evaluations. That's all you need to hear. I know that I know for my coach Ryan, it's one of his things is that he hasn't coached position in a long time, and that's a very understandable thing. I feel the same way. If you've been away from my position for a long time in terms of coaching, I don't know what it looks like now, especially when it's been such a long time. But the simple fact that he's great at evaluating players lets me know that he's able to be trusted. Lets me know that Ryan Day trusts him, and that's all I need to hear right now. Next, let's go to Tim Walton. Of course, we brought him up earlier, but I wanted to stick on him for a little bit in terms of working with Matt Patricia, because I think that this is going to work just like the offense does. Ryan Day is currently trying to divvy out the responsibilities. And I think that on the defensive side, that's also what they're trying to do, divvy out the responsibilities, but also make it a joint effort as it should be. Not every coaching, as much as we think that every coaching staff should be that way, every coaching staff isn't. I think Ryan Day is making a concerted effort to do so. I really like it. Tim Walton, the way he spoke about Matt Patricia, this is why I want to talk about this. He said that he has a sharp football IQ, he's very passionate, and he knows how to get to the quarterback. Now, as someone who played DB in college for a few years, I can tell you right now, there's nothing this guy in the secondary loves more than a defensive line that can get to the quarterback, or front seven that does. So Matt Patricia being able to do that, knowing the help that it does for Tim Walton and his guys and Gary Airy, I think that's awesome. I'm happy to hear it. And I think that it's football is all about complimenting yourself, about complimentary things. The defense has to complement the offense and vice versa. The running game has to complement the pass game. The run defense has to complement the pass defense. These are all things that have to join together. Again, football is one of the, more than any other sport, I believe football teaches you about life, and it teaches you how to work through things and how to be a good teammate and how to be a good person. I think that things like this, when you speak the same language as Tim Walton said today, he said, things have changed, of course. Things have changed throughout the years. But he said him and Matt Patricia have the same language when it comes to the defense. And so that's something else I'm really happy to hear about. Now let's get to our guy, our favorite, one of our favorite player coaches, Brian Hartline. A lot here. First, I want to start with what Pat Murphy said. Shout out to Pat Murphy, does an awesome job. He says, while asking Ryan Day what made Brian Hartline ready this time, which I thought was an awesome question. And compared to last time, especially 2 years ago, Ryan Day said that his work ethic is he has credibility. Players relate to him. He's good on the head with adjustments in game. That's why I like to hear. It's not that we all didn't know these things. We know that Brian Hartline's a relatable guy. We know that he has credibility. He was for anyone that doesn't know, go look back in those highlights while he was at Ohio State playing with Terrell Pryor. He had some good years. He was a very productive guy for the Miami Dolphins for a few years also in the NFL. And that's why he has so much credibility with guys in that position. And he has a track record with coaching. So, and developing guys, making the first round picks. We all know that. We all know Brian Hartline's resume right now is it's off the charts. Said that, 2 years ago and last year, he has been on the headset and said that he's someone that makes adjustments on the fly. He's been very good at that. One of the reasons why he's confident responding to Pat Murphy, Ryan's confident in him making the play calls this season. And he said, not now, he gets to handle the people. Ryan Day talked about how you have to be able, there's a lot of guys talking, a lot of things coming in and out of the years, especially between the plays, which you said Brian Harlan was very good at as a wide receivers coach and co-offensive coordinator. But now you got to handle all that, and then you got to make it one single decision. One of the things I love saying is, as a coordinator, defensive or offensive, you have veto power. And that's what's most important. And when you get a lot of things thrown at you, you got to say, okay, this is what we're running with. This is what we're doing. A few plays down the road, that's what we're going to do. And I'm really interested to see, as I'm sure you are, is how Brian Harline is able to work with that, work with his coworkers, the rest of the coaching staff, and how he's able to know when to get guys play the ball. Again, a lot of play calling is not so much about the plays you call, but the cadence in which you do. So very excited to see that out of him. Also talked about how Brian Hartline actually wanted someone who has had some type of experience in the run game in terms of play calling, which is one of the big reasons why Ryan Day went out and got Tyler Bowen. Ryan Day said he had a lot to do with that. Brian Hartline did. And of course, I call him TB with Tyler Bowen. He's really impressed Ryan Day on his approach to the offensive line room, he said. Of course, we already know he's doing recruiting. Ryan Day mentioned that as I just did a few minutes ago. But I think that when you look at, again, complimentary, how are you going to do that? You got a new play time. You got a new play caller. How are you going to compliment him? You're being someone who's already done it. Now, someone who may not be good at the passing game, but is damn sure good at the run game. That it's perfect. The way Ryan Day is doing this, and Ryan Day also brought up, he really wants to just let go of the play calling and talked about how, he can go over to the defensive side a little bit, but there's so many vets that are coaching on that side. He doesn't have to be there as much right now. And he's really happy about that because he wants to get onto the offensive side a little bit more, help the staff out as they're starting out, new faces, and then let them ride with it. The way Ryan Day is running this team, I'm very impressed by it. I think after that championship, it's shed a new light on him. And I haven't even had the championship. I think before the season started, by going out and getting your old mentor, that says a lot. And I think Ryan Day is on the path to creating something special here at Ohio State. I think that a lot of the things that we're doing right now, leading into the spring, are going to set us up for success. A few more things here, everybody. Ryan Day talked about how they had a week to celebrate and then went back to drills. Spring practice is going to start here in 4 weeks. Everybody usually starts in 5, but they're going to tack that off a little bit because of the spring break. One of the things I think a lot of people have been harping on is about the spring game. Now, Ryan Day said that they're not going to get rid of it all. There's going to be a spring showcase. A few of the guys are going to be able to sit out that are a little bit more important, but they're going to play in the 7v7 portion of it that they're going to have, which I really like. And they're going to have some of the younger guys or guys that don't have as much experience go out and actually play in the actual game simulation, which I think is a smart idea. Again, everyone has to remember, I'm not for spring games going away, but the season's longer now. You can play 17 games or 16, 17 games. So I think that is really smart job by Ryan Day doing that. Some important stuff here for the quarterbacks. They're going to be 3 groups of equal reps for the QBs. Talked about how even Will Howard last year even had time with the 3s last season. So I'm really interested to see how this works. For a guy like Tavian, it might be hard work with the third team. As a guy like Julian is saying, and Lincoln Keels work with the third team. But it's really good that you're giving Tavian a chance to go with the guys in the first stringers. So then you get to see, okay, well, what can he do with these guys? That's very important. Also talked about some of the positions of need here coming up in the spring portal. Defensive line, depth-wise, of course, he brought up, we lost 5 guys total with Hero Canoe leaving for Texas. Talk about the offensive line, that's been harped on for the last few years, and I think that we all believe that's to be the case also. But Ryan Day, as we said earlier, been talking about Tyler Bowen and his approach to the offensive line, and that the recruiting if you look at 247, everyone, or On Three, wherever you like to look, there are recruiting sites. There's a lot of offensive linemen being offered right now from Tyler Bowen. And that's how you want it. You want to give guys a chance to come to Ohio State because everybody wants to play at Ohio State. I don't care what anyone says. And then also the quarterback. Listen, man, it's young. young room. That's all it is. Running backs also, with losing the guys you lost in Judkins and Travion Henderson, you're bringing CJ down. You're bringing CJ Donaldson Jr. from West Virginia, who has a lot of experience. Last 2 years had 700 yards rushing plus each of them, 400 the year freshman year, and then you're talking about James Peoples, who had some sparing time last year, did pretty good, but you're the guy now, and the rest of it just young guys, including Sam Williams-Dixon, who came back from the transfer portal. So it's gonna be really interesting, everybody. A lot of faces to replace, but we all know there are big names in the Woody in Columbus, Ohio, on the banks of the Olentangy. Again, everybody, thank you for coming in here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any other family members that just happen not to be Buckeye crazy people like we are, be sure to look and show them the other channels that we have here, from Miami to Clemson to Michigan to whoever else you need. Thank you again, and as always, OHIO.